Under the Christmas tree, where the snowflakes fall, coffee in hand, we're ready for it all. With warmth in our cups and joy in the air, it's time to kick off this season with retro flair. Slipper socks cozy, they're soft and warm, perfect for weathering a winter storm. Soon be time to relax and unwind in anticipation of multiple presents combined. But most importantly, I need to keep my gingerbread man socks close at hand. A nice cozy fire, safe and unmanned. Time to treat myself to a couple of Rudy reindeers to really get into the Christmas spirit, with a cheeky splash of avocado and salmon prior to a cheeky game of backgammon. Digital Christmas cheer in the palm of your hand. A welcome captain at the helm. Dust off your consoles, plug in your joy. Time to unwrap games to deploy. From 8-bit snowmen to pixelated elves, we'll dive into games stacked high on your shelves. Games have begun, and there's no time for reruns. It's also that time of year to revisit the Christmas box, to discover new and exciting developments. Someone slipped in a bit of Pat Boone. I see some Christmas films have been selected for a high definition full upgrade to add to my Christmas cheer. Tiny crackers for tiny people. Don't like opera, but I'm partial to a little Sinatra. But these are what I've really come to check on. The boys are back. It wouldn't be Christmas without the Christmas monkeys. Good to see you again, boys. A few jingle balls. Sadly, the comedy sprout hat has not perished from last year. But wait, this Christmas I'm also going mammoth and 3D for some additional extra Christmas dimension fun. Don't like the way the dog is keeping guard of the sprouts. Don't despair, we are almost there. It's time to uncover a chest full of warmth, whilst others above us head north. Extra presents for those who are good. It's very strange what you find going on in your neighbourhood. Featuring a whole host of Nintendo. Welcome to 12 more days of retro. Lethal Weapon is split into 5 missions for ultimate excitement, and for even more excitement you can play the levels out of sequence by walking through doors. If you ever wish to control a tiny Mel Gibson in one of the finest action movie franchises of all time, you are in luck, because the bright sparks at Ocean Software have provided the buddy cop action of Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, and have crammed them into a side-scrolling platformer. Yes, you get to control both legends at various points in the game. Ocean became the king of movie adaptations, with varying levels of success. Some could be good, some could be bad, some could just be fine. A game that's covered in both mud and sadness, something I did not think was possible. Is Lethal Weapon a Christmas game? Well, the first one is set at Christmas, so yes. Although technically the game is based on Lethal Weapon 3, but we won't go too much into that. Not yet anyway. Or maybe not at all. If Lethal Weapon the movie is a perfectly grilled salmon steak, then Lethal Weapon on the SNES is a fetid, miserable looking, month-old piece of haddock that's gone missing down the back of your fridge, into a dark wilderness where you may never recover its full rotting carcass. Dreadful. I don't remember crocodiles in any of the Lethal Weapon films. Maybe they're too old for this sort of thing too. It doesn't matter that you can play as Riggs or Murtaugh. It doesn't matter because they both move like they're stuck in gravy. The controls are so unresponsive, you swear the game hates you. Enemies pop out of nowhere, shooting you with pixel perfect accuracy while you're fumbling to figure out if you're holding a gun or a loaf of bread. The graphics look like they were drawn with crayons during a power outage, and the music, it's the same repetitive loop that sounds like a keyboard dying a slow death. By the time you finish a level, if you even can, you will be screaming, "I'm too old for this." We're back, controlling the small boy known as Kevin, played by the new fully grown adult Macaulay Culkin, who has carelessly got himself lost in New York. Back in familiar territory with mind-numbing platform antics where you must wander around a hotel, avoiding things and getting out of the way of comedy objects. There may be more to this game than meets the eye, but my eyes can only take some of level 1, which seems to be presented in a rather shockingly bright orange dayglow colour, to add even more annoyance to the fiddly controls of controlling a rather dreary boy. Wander into secret rooms that aren't really secret, as there are doors that let you in. A game so terrible it makes stepping on a Lego feel like a spa day. Instead of outsmarting burglars with clever traps, you spend most of your time running from sentient vacuum cleaners, flying suitcases, and what I can only describe as homicidal cleaning ladies wielding mops of doom. The controls are so slippery you'd think Kevin stepped in a puddle of his own tears after realising his family ditched him yet again. To top it off, the graphics make New York look like it's been hit by a mustard bomb, and the music loops so aggressively it feels like the game is punishing you for playing it. It's not just bad, it's so bad it makes the wet bandits look competent. If you want to feel the true pain of being left home alone, just boot this game up and let the vacuum cleaner claim your soul. I never wish to play this game ever again. Two brothers, not called Snow, but called Nick and Tom, must work their way through hundreds of levels, frantically building snowballs big enough to dispatch cutesy, colourful monsters. I remember playing this in the arcades for not that many minutes, because arcade games were always furiously difficult. They had this game in my local Chinese restaurant, so it was always a joy to play whilst waiting for my egg fried rice and king prawn kung po. I cannot say anything more about this game other than it is an absolute classic. This game will guarantee to put a smile on your face. A great game for the holiday season if you want to bask yourself in a smorgasbord of frivolity, mayhem, challenge and snow. Classic! In fact, the game's so classic, I might have to say classic a few more times. Classic, classic and classic. Who would have thought a frosty fiasco of the arcade world would be so much fun? Eventually, you come up with game bosses, and beating them feels like surviving the biggest snowball fight against two Incredible Hulks. Although I'm not sure the Incredible Hulk is interested in winter really. Somewhere there is a plot involving rescuing your girlfriends, which begs the question why snowmen even need girlfriends. Strange. Clever chap Tim Burton, the man responsible for bringing Batman to the big screen, is also responsible for this unusually disturbing yet entertaining stop-motion animated film, which someone decided may make for an utterly classic Game Boy Advance adventure. More platform tomfoolery as you control Jack Skellington in a prequel adventure to the film. You must find Oogie Boogie, who has mucked up the town and wants to change it, as all good Oogie Boogies do. He's also nicked Sally, who you must rescue. The game constantly reminds you how to do things, which could be quite handy due to my ever-failing memory. The trouble is, I cannot remember if I want to play this game or not, and every time I think I want to play it, I decide I don't want to play it. Is there anything wrong with this game? Well, it's just a standard platformer really. I suppose this might be okay if you want to easily distract yourself from another round of turkey-based baps, endless Christmas cracker jokes, or family members in various states of food distress and aggressive snoring. But the wild antics of Jack just don't cut the Christmas mustard for me. The game's too yellow for my liking. It just doesn't really leap off Nintendo's wildly enjoyable machine. I like the animated film. I like Tim Burton. I do not like this game. Move along. What do you get when you take Tim Allen, Christmas magic, and a video game? Apparently, you get this absolute train wreck wrapped in tinsel. It's a platformer where you play as Santa, but instead of spreading joy, you'll mostly be spreading frustration. By now, if I had £1 for every Christmas game that required you to control a generic Santa Claus in a platform-based adventure to either save Christmas or the world, I'd have about £7 by now. Surely we can be saved by the music though. Well, it's like someone took a Christmas song, ran it through a blender, and then set the blender on fire. Every jingle is a jarring loop that makes you question all your holiday life choices. I'm really getting fed up of endlessly jumping over snowballs. And why do I have to collect a load of cookies and milk? Maybe that is the point of the game. Collecting 20 of each and you're good to go. Probably some carefully concocted bonus element, no doubt. The controls feel like you are wearing permanent ice skates. Good luck landing a jump without endlessly falling into spikes. The levels seem a mess of recycled backgrounds, making every stage feel like Santa's trapped in a discount Christmas maze. This game could be described as a Christmas catastrophe wrapped in pixelated misery. I'm really not having much luck with this. I can't seem to just get where I want to be in time. Maybe I should be gliding more. How silly of me. Gliding to my platforms. Don't let Santa get blue face. Okay. I don't believe it. Actually completed level 1. Oh. It's just more of the same. More blue spikes. More snow. More jumping. More obstacles. Oh, come off it. Iced platforms. The controls were bad enough as it was. Now I've got to contend with actual slippy platforms with a clunky little Santa man that I can't even control anyway. I think this game will soon be going off. Oh, come on. Shut up. It's got to... No, not having any of it. Endlessly trapped on slippery platforms. Ah, there you go. Bit better. Just run and hope for the best. My strategy in most games. No, you shouldn't have to be doing this, really. Oh, come on. I'm doomed. I'm actually doomed. No, I've had enough. Forget this. This was originally a free game with a magazine. Remember when that was a thing? Remember magazines, actual physical paper to inform you of new and exciting games. I'm not sure why Santa is a psychopath, but you must whiz about in a Defender-esque recreation of Christmas cheer, shooting snowballs to turn enemies into presents. Developed by those clever chaps at Bullfrog, responsible for Theme Park and Populous. I'm quite sure that this minigame was developed just for a laugh, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Who on earth is that guy? Looks like death has turned up for a bit of a Barney. I'm not sure the power of snowballs or presents will be enough for this chap. If you're looking to play a holiday classic, don't play Psycho Santa. Maybe treat yourself to a festive movie instead. But if you want to experience an unhinged North Pole adventure, then this could be right up your street, alleyway, or small slip road to a gingerbread house. It simply would not be Christmas without Die Hard, and what better way to spend Christmas with a vest in another version of Die Hard, this time for the PC Engine. However, this version is not ringing my Christmas bells as it should. I do not remember John McClane wandering around the back of a couple of sheds in an abandoned forest, gunning people down. Maybe that was on a director's cut that I have failed to locate. Battle your way through 10 stages, if you can be bothered, making you wander across a forest and swamp to get to Nakatomi Plaza is just a cruel and unnecessary endeavour that I want no real part of. Incredibly repetitive nonsense. Enemies walk around like caffeinated squirrels. It is like someone tried to recreate Die Hard using Microsoft Paint. Gunshots sound like someone dropping a tin can. McClane in a blue vest just doesn't seem quite right to me. Oh, this is just a carbon copy of the last level, walking around another internal structure just to shoot bad guys. Difficulty remains incredibly hard, like the game actively hates you. Enemies seem to have perfect aim, whilst you have the durability of a wet paper towel. Die Hard is like receiving a gift you didn't want in shiny paper. It looks promising, but once you open it, it's just socks. The game tries to capture the spirit of the movie, but ends up feeling more like a parody. Is it fun? Not really. Is it frustrating? Always. Will it make you appreciate the movie more? Absolutely. Play it if you're curious. A Pico 8 is a console that doesn't really exist, which means this game doesn't really exist, and nothing we see before us is real. Built in the realms of fantasy, trying to emulate a tiny 8-bit console that isn't real. For something that isn't real, it does a really good job of playing games, including delightful little games such as this light-hearted ball of fluff Secret Santa. Avoid obstacles and security cameras and dogs whilst you attempt to deliver presents. Try to avoid a rather infuriating drone across cutesy Santa-esque dulcet tones whilst you drop into houses and do the Santa thing. As the game slowly ramps up difficulty levels by dropping in more abstract items to put you off your game, such as sound monitors and laser tripwires. But of course, why wouldn't there be laser tripwires in a house you need to deliver presents to? Hang on a minute. Why are people so set on keeping Santa Claus out? You're only trying to do a nice thing and give joy to the world. Some people just aren't happy, are they? Shame. Secret Santa is the perfect antidote to the usual plethora of mindless repeats of Christmas shows. It may put a smile on your face and give you a perfect reason to be excused from a rather large table to go and sort Christmas out for a short while. Mildly addictive, mildly fun, and mildly exists on a console that's not really in existence. So you must find ways and means of playing this on other technology. Maybe your tech goggles will help you. Busted. Woke up the house again. To be fair to this game, I do keep revisiting it. It is quite nice to control a tiny little Santa doing your good deeds. Inventive and colourful and a little bit different. And what's wrong with that? I would certainly advise you to play this on a miniaturized device, similar to a Game Boy, because then you can take it wherever you want and hide in the bathroom away from potential dangerous relatives chasing after you, gripping a dense fruitcake like a medieval mace. And you definitely don't want that. Trust me. Yes, this music does unfortunately mean that you will have to sit through that intro again. But don't let that put you off. Christmas wouldn't be Christmas with at least one viewing of a Star Wars related movie. And what better way to accompany it than with a blast from the past on the Super Nintendo. When I first saw Super Star Wars in action, I was stood in a small game shop with a crowd of people around a small CRT monitor, watching the manager demo the game for all to see. Nobody spoke. They just marvelled at the screen, hoping that we would someday be able to afford the extortionate £70 import price tag that this game was commanding at the time. Frustrating to the point of you wanting to throw the game out of a small window, but clever enough in its learning curve to make you want to come back just one more time. A cracking game adaptation with enough variation to take you out of the standard movie platformer trope, enough to make it exciting, enough to make it inviting, enough to make it really feel like it's Christmas. Whilst a mix of non-platform levels can be fun, the initial land speeder level can feel like an aimless quest through a blurry landscape, looking for endless brown cloaked tiny people, whilst constantly spinning around and becoming ever more confused. You may spend the initial half of the level scraping together your bearings whilst viewing hundreds of tiny pixelated gremlin wannabes. You will run out of fuel, crash into rocks and get fried more times than you can count. But stick with it, as more fun is definitely on the way. This used to be the future of 16-bit gaming. Mode 7 on the SNES didn't just show you worlds, it moved them. Mode 7, for fact fans, lets flat 2D backgrounds scale, rotate and transform in real time, creating the illusion of 3D movement. The box to this game boasts 36 stunning levels across 12 massive worlds and bonus levels along the way in order to, you guessed it, save Christmas. Something else involving a witch destroying Christmas made my heart instantly sink, as we are here again in familiar platform Christmas saving tomfoolery. This game is far too bright for my liking. Christmas should be bright and fun, but this is becoming a bit too much now. Throw presents at people, avoid snowfalls, pick up candy canes. The usual fanfare of Christmas is all crushed together here in one lackluster attempt to be an enjoyable, entertaining Christmas adventure. I'm not really doing anything other than jumping randomly at various points, attempting to have fun. It's not working, and I'm not having any fun at all. I can promise you that. Who on earth is that long lad? I really wonder how many more games there can be with small Santa type sprites wandering through aimless white platforms in their never-ending quests to save Christmas. I wonder, is there any hope left out there in the world that maybe we are finally coming to an end of this sort of thing? Or will we continue to delve into yet more Christmas jumping platform banality on our retro quests? Only time will tell, I guess. But what I can tell you for now is that I am becoming a little jaded with Santa platformers. But don't let me stop you if this is your kind of thing. You might love a game full of colour, full of Santa, full of saving things, full of presents, full of candy canes, full of snowmen, full of cookies, full of sacks, full of beards, full of reindeers, full of stuff. The first thing that instantly hits you when booting up the Grinch is that the Grinch is not voiced by professional rubber-faced Jim Grin Elasticity Carey. It's just some random bloke, causing instant confusion and a huge letdown. It's based on the book How the Grinch Stole Christmas, a book I thought I had read, but I've since forgotten if I did actually read it. But then later, my good friend reminded me that I had in fact read it, and it was a book that I had enjoyed. Anyway, too much time can sometimes be taken up on thinking about what books you did or did not read, which gets in the way of playing games. Playing the Grinch on PlayStation feels like being invited to a holiday dinner where the turkey is made of jelly, the mashed potatoes are green, and everyone seems to speak in riddles. I would describe the graphics as good enough. Far too much talking, although I do appreciate this is only the start of the game. Why is it only the start of the game? Because I cannot be bothered to play it much. Lots of moody music helps you look around murky caves to find keys to move objects to walk into the next murky cave. Hang on, I'm controlling Max the dog here to get the key. Well, that is interesting. About as interesting as discovering a blank VHS videotape and realising that you sold your VHS video player back in 1994. But I didn't. I still own mine. The controls do the job. Enough to move a large green Grinch through caves, enough to get you set up on your journey into the mind of a creature who hates Christmas, gravity, and functional controls. A messy, absurd, and at times downright unpleasant, but oddly captivating game. Could possibly require some additional time investment, but not an investment I am willing to take, so I am going to cash out now. Please send my apologies. I asked my good friend once about the films of Jim Carrey. He said he remembered hating The Mask when it first came out, which then reminded me that the famous actor Tommy Lee Jones once said to Jim that he could not sanction his buffoonery. I'm not sure whether having Jim in this game would help or not. It would still be murky, it would still be messy, and despite any of his rubber-faced antics, he may not be able to have saved this game. This game is also available on the shining white Sega console known as the Dreamcast. I don't know if it is any better on that machine, but I thought it might be helpful for you to know that. If Santa ever ditched the North Pole to moonlight as a knife-wielding lunatic, you'd get Christmas Massacre. You play as Larry, a guy in a Santa suit. Well, not quite yet a Santa suit, you're just in your pants. But Larry gets orders from his creepy talking Christmas tree, because of course he does, to eliminate the naughty. What follows is a fever dream of stealthy murder sprees in low poly environments that look like they were pulled straight from the PlayStation 1 era. And that's completely the point. It's nostalgic. If your nostalgia involves excessive blood splatter and ominous jingles. The gameplay is very hide and seek, but instead of hiding from Santa, you are Santa, sneaking around stabbing partygoers while trying not to get caught. The controls are hilariously clunky, which makes Larry's awkward waddling both funny and nerve-wracking as you evade suspicious non-playable characters. The horror vibes here are legit. Dim lighting, unnerving sound design, and Larry's terrifying mask of glee as he ho-ho-ho's his way to Murder Town. But it's also absurdly funny. 1 second you're panicking because someone saw you. The next you're laughing because Larry just tripped over a chair, like a murderous Mr. Bean. Is it good? That's debatable. Is it memorable? Absolutely. Christmas Massacre is a cursed Christmas miracle that's equal parts creepy and ridiculous. It's the perfect game for anyone who loves holiday cheer and total chaos. Weird, cheap, and funny in all the wrong ways. It's like the gaming equivalent of a novelty fruitcake. Bizarre, unsettling, but somehow you keep going back for more. I will leave you for a few moments to absorb the horrifying, sinister nature of this game. There we go. That's just about enough of that. And what's really interesting is that you can alter how the game looks. In the very handy option setting, you can make your Christmas nightmare darker, more pixely, more grainy, to your heart's content. Let's have a bit of a play around with this. Interesting. You can make it look just like a videotape, should you wish. Oh, that looks completely block central. I'm not sure that adds to the horror though, but this is up to you as a nice feature. There's a knife in the kitchen, Larry. No one does Christmas quite as smoothly or explosively as James Bond. GoldenEye is one of the most legendary multiplayer games of all time. Chaos, nostalgia and betrayal wrapped in polygons, delivered through a sometimes painful 15 frames per second. But we can forgive a few frames or 49, as this is all about pure fun. I wasn't even sure what a Sega 1000 was until reviewing this game. I'm still not convinced. I needed to know. But another Bond game is lurking on it, and I think it should stay lurking for quite a considerable time. Iconic theme sounding like it's played by a drunk robot on a xylophone. Indiana Jones, whip in hand, plays like he's stuck in quicksand. On the Amiga, it's quite the quest, but also feels like a weird stress test. Graphics are blocky, the sound's a bit shrill. You'll save the kids, or so they say, but mostly you'll fall in a pit all day. Weirdly fun if you've got time on your hands. A quick blast of indie might just be the Christmas tonic, following a temple of turkey, a temple of tinsel, a temple of the lost gift receipt, and a temple of, well, you get the idea. Clay Fighter 63 and a third is like the weird uncle of fighting games. Loud, bizarre, and completely off its rocker. From the moment you hit start, you're assaulted by characters that feel like they've escaped from a rejected Nickelodeon show, fighting to the death in what looks like a stop-motion fever dream. An iconic cast. You've got a murderous snowman, a sumo wrestler with questionable hygiene, and Earthworm Jim, because why not? They're not balanced in the slightest. Some moves feel like you're smashing Play-Doh, while others hit like a sledgehammer made of fondant. Button mashing is your best strategy, because trying to pull off combos feels like sculpting marble with a toothbrush. But the real charm is the claymation aesthetic. It's as if someone spent hours lovingly animating a battle between their childhood nightmares. It's janky, but it's got heart. Kind of like a B-movie that knows it's a mess and leans into it. Clunky, chaotic, and wildly entertaining if you don't take it seriously. This might be just what is needed over the festive period to bring you out of a turkey bap and sprout coma, to get you prepared for the next round. This game clearly escaped me on its original release, and I was mildly horrified to learn that this is not the first game in the series. Clay Fighter and Clay Fighter 2 Judgment Clay existed before this, offering a healthy 26 rooms, the usual mix of Mortal Kombat style combo moves that you will learn once and instantly forget. I guess it does try hard to give you an overall sense of entertainment. They have even tried to incorporate some sort of plot, which is equally as confusing as the game itself. X-Men 2 Clone Wars starts at the business end of Christmas with a snow-filled level controlling a random character. Snow is often featured in real-life Christmas, although often not on the actual day in question. So if you are feeling like having a game with the ability to switch on snow at your earliest convenience, then this game may be for you. I am told this game is really good, and you can choose different characters as you progress. But for the purposes of Christmas, I'm staying firmly, or not, in a snow-based level for maximum Christmas, and I think you should too. Please have a joyous time, whatever you may be doing, and above all, keep it safe, keep it fun, and keep laughing. Thank you.
Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas!